My wife handed me divorce papers at my dad's funeral, right after the eulogy I'd just given. She said, "Perfect timing to start fresh." I replied, "You're right about timing." Then I pulled out my phone and showed her the prenup she'd forgotten about, the one with the $200,000 infidelity clause. When my attorney stood up from the back pew with photos of her 8-month affair and announced, "We're countersuing," I, 38 male, buried my father last Tuesday. Cancer took him in 3 months. Fast, brutal, no time to prepare. I gave the eulogy. Talked about his woodworking, his terrible jokes, how he taught me to change a tire when I was 12. My voice cracked twice, but I got through it. Walked back to my pew. My wife of 6 years was sitting there with her purse in her lap. She had this weird look on her face, not sad, almost excited. As I sat down, she leaned over and whispered, "We need to talk after this." I nodded, figured she wanted to discuss the reception or something. The service ended. People were filing out, offering condolences. My mom was a mess, being held up by her sister. I was trying to hold it together, shaking hands, accepting hugs. My wife pulled me aside near the back of the church, away from everyone. "I think this is actually perfect timing," she said. "What is?" She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. "I want a divorce. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think starting fresh right now makes sense. New chapter for both of us." I just stared at her. My dad's casket was literally 20 feet away. You're doing this right now? It's practical. You're going to be busy with estate stuff anyway. We can handle this alongside all that. Efficient? My father just died. I know, and I'm sorry about that, but we can't put our lives on hold forever. I already have an attorney. You'll be served officially next week, but I wanted to tell you in person. Professional courtesy. Professional courtesy. At my dad's funeral, I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger yet. Just this crystalline clarity. "You're right about timing," I said. She looked relieved. "I'm glad you're being mature about this." I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a photo, showed it to her. It was a page from our prenup. The page she'd clearly forgotten about. The one outlining the infidelity clause. Her face went white. "Remember this?" I asked quietly. $200,000 penalty if either party commits adultery during the marriage. You insisted on it actually, said it would keep us both honest. I didn't. You did. It's notarized, legal, enforceable. She was opening her mouth to respond when a voice spoke up from behind us. "Good afternoon, I'm his attorney." We both turned. My lawyer was standing there in a dark suit. We'd arranged this 2 days ago when I'd gotten suspicious and hired a PI. The PI had worked fast, my lawyer continued. "We're prepared to file a countersuit for divorce on the grounds of adultery. We have documentation of an 8-month affair with a colleague, hotel receipts, text messages, photos. The prenup clause will be enforced in full." My wife's face went from white to red. You had me followed?" "I got suspicious last month when you started working late every Tuesday and Thursday. Always the same nights, always with your phone face down. So yeah, I confirmed it." "This is insane. You can't just—" "Actually," my lawyer interrupted, "we can. And we will. You'll be receiving counterfiling documents within 48 hours. The $200,000 will be deducted from your share of marital assets. Given the circumstances, my client will also be seeking full ownership of the house and his separate property investments." People were starting to look over. My wife grabbed my arm. "You're really going to do this? Make a scene at your father's funeral? You handed me divorce papers at my father's funeral. I'm just responding to your sense of timing." She looked around at the people watching. Her face was a mix of panic and rage. "We can talk about this later, privately." "No. You wanted to do this now. We're doing it now." My lawyer handed her a business card. "All communication goes through me from this point forward. My client will not be speaking with you directly." She snatched the card, stuffed the divorce papers back in her purse, and walked out. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just left. My mom came over. "What was that about?" "I'll explain later, Mom. Let's get through today first." But I was done getting through things. I was done being blindsided. Time to handle this my way. Update 1. It's been a week. The funeral feels like a year ago. My wife's been calling and texting non-stop. I haven't answered. Everything goes through my attorney like he said. The PI's full report came back. It's worse than I thought. 8 months with her coworker. Started at a company retreat. They've been to hotels 14 times. Weekends when she said she was visiting her sister, she was with him. The Tuesday and Thursday late nights, also him. The kicker? She'd been planning this divorce for at least 2 months, had consulted with her attorney back then. The timing at the funeral wasn't impulsive. She'd planned to do it that day. Why? According to texts the PI recovered, she thought I'd be emotionally vulnerable and easier to manipulate right after losing my dad. Figured I'd just sign whatever she put in front of me. She didn't factor in the prenup because she genuinely forgot about it. Her texts to her affair partner literally said, "He'll be too messed up to think straight. We can lowball the settlement." My attorney filed the countersuit. She's been served. Her response? "She showed up at my house yesterday. I didn't let her in. Talked through the Ring camera." "This is ridiculous," she said to the camera. "You're blowing this completely out of proportion. You cheated on me for 8 months and tried to divorce me at my father's funeral. What proportion should I be using? I made a mistake. People make mistakes. We can go to counseling." "No, you're really gonna throw away 6 years over this? You already threw it away. I'm just responding to what you did. The prenup thing is cruel. That money is half mine. That money is yours until you violate the terms of the prenup." Which you did. Repeatedly. In hotels I probably helped pay for. Her voice changed, got harder. "You know what? Fine, be that way. But you're not getting the house. I've lived there for 6 years. I have equity in that. The house was mine before we married. My name only on the deed. You have no claim to it. A judge will see it differently. Maybe. Or maybe a judge will see 8 months of adultery and texts about manipulating a grieving widow and side with me. We'll find out." She stared at the camera for a long moment, then left without another word. An hour later, her mother called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "I don't know what's gotten into you, but you're breaking my daughter's heart. She made a mistake and she's sorry. You're being vindictive and honestly cruel. Your father would be ashamed of how you're acting. Bringing my dead father into it. Classy. My attorney advised me to keep records of everything. Every text, every call, every communication attempt, build the pattern. Yesterday my wife's lawyer called my lawyer. Apparently they want to negotiate the prenup enforcement. Offered to drop the divorce if I drop the infidelity clause. My response? No, file it all. Her lawyer tried to claim the prenup might not hold up because circumstances have changed since signing. My lawyer laughed and said we'd see in court. Today I went back to work for the first time since the funeral. My wife worked for a different company, but we had mutual professional contacts. Word had already spread somehow. 3 people pulled me aside to ask if I was okay. Apparently my wife had been telling people I snapped after my dad died and was making wild accusations about her. I didn't engage, just said, going through a difficult divorce, prefer not to discuss it at work. But the looks I got told me the damage was being done. She was getting ahead of the narrative, making herself the victim of a grieving, unstable husband. My attorney said this would happen. Said to document it but not respond publicly. Let the legal system handle it. Easy to say, harder to watch your reputation get shredded. Tonight I'm sitting in my dad's house, my house now, going through his things. Found a letter he'd written me that he'd never sent. It was dated 2 months before his diagnosis. He wrote about marriage, about choosing partners, about knowing when to fight and when to walk away. He wrote, "If someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Don't make excuses for them. Don't wait for them to do it again." He never knew about the affair. Never knew she'd hand me papers at his funeral. But somehow he knew I'd need that advice. Update 2. 3 weeks since the funeral. This thing's gotten uglier. My wife filed a motion claiming emotional distress, says my harassment and aggressive legal tactics have caused her severe anxiety and depression. She's asking the court to make me pay her legal fees and see a therapist for her trauma. The harassment she's referring to? Me filing a countersuit after she divorced me at my father's funeral. Her lawyer's strategy is clear. Paint me as the aggressor. Make her the victim of a man who's not handling grief well and is lashing out at the nearest target. My attorney says it won't work. The evidence is too strong, but it's dragging this out. Meanwhile, her family's getting involved. Her brother showed up at my work yesterday. Security had to escort him out after he started yelling in the lobby about how I was destroying his sister's life. Her father called my mom, told her she raised a vindictive son, that I was using my grief as an excuse to be cruel. My mom, bless her, told him his daughter was the one who brought divorce papers to a funeral and hung up. But it's wearing on her. She's dealing with her own grief, and now this. The affair partner? He's still in the picture, apparently. My wife's been seen with him twice, according to mutual friends. They're not hiding it anymore, which actually helps my case. My attorney's documenting every public appearance, every social media post, building the timeline that she's not distressed, she's just mad she got caught. Her lawyer's now claiming the prenup was signed under duress, that I pressured her into it. Never mind that she's the one who insisted on the infidelity clause in the first place. Never mind that we both had independent counsel review it. They're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Yesterday I had my deposition. 5 hours of her lawyer asking me questions designed to make me look unstable. Isn't it true you've been drinking more since your father's death? I've had wine with dinner. Is there a legal limit for grief? Isn't it true you became obsessed with your wife's whereabouts? I became concerned about unexplained absences and lies. Then I confirmed those concerns. Isn't it true you planned this countersuit as revenge? I planned this countersuit as a response to being served divorce papers at my father's funeral. That one shut him up for a second. My attorney says I did well, stayed calm, didn't take the bait, kept responses factual. But sitting there for 5 hours getting picked apart, that stays with you. Got home to find my wife had tried to access our shared storage unit. Changed the locks on that too. She's looking for what, I don't know. Most of her stuff is already out of the house. Her lawyer sent a letter demanding I return various personal items, including some furniture and artwork. My attorney's response: provide a detailed list with proof of ownership or original purchase. She can't, because most of it was mine before the marriage or gifts from my family. But she's trying anyway, throwing claims around, hoping something lands. The preliminary hearing's in 2 weeks. That's when the judge will review the prenup validity and the evidence of adultery. My attorney's confident, but keeps reminding me nothing's guaranteed. My mom asked me yesterday if I was okay. Really okay? Honest answer? No. My dad's gone. My marriage is over. My wife's trying to make me look crazy. Her family's harassing mine. But I'm not backing down. She picked this fight. She chose the timing. She thought she'd get to walk away clean with half my assets and no consequences. Now she's finding out consequences exist. 2 weeks until the hearing. Then we'll see what happens. Final update. The hearing was yesterday. It's over. Going to try to get through this chronologically because it was a lot. We went in front of a judge. Not a full trial, just a preliminary hearing to determine if the prenup was valid and if there was sufficient evidence to proceed with the infidelity clause enforcement. My wife showed up with her lawyer looking confident. She dressed conservatively, barely any makeup, hair pulled back, playing the part of the wounded party. Her lawyer went first. Spent 20 minutes arguing the prenup was signed under duress, that circumstances had changed, that enforcing it now was punitive rather than protective. Said I was using my father's death to manipulate the proceedings and gain sympathy. Then they brought out their character witness, her mother. She testified that I'd always been controlling and manipulative, that I'd isolated my wife from friends, that the prenup was my idea and I'd threatened to cancel the wedding if she didn't sign it. All lies. Provable lies. But she said them under oath anyway. My attorney cross-examined. Asked her mother if she was aware her daughter had been having an affair for 8 months. She said, alleged affair. Asked if she was aware her daughter had served divorce papers at a funeral. She said, my daughter was trying to be kind by telling him in person. Kind. At a funeral. Then it was our turn. My attorney presented the prenup, showed it was my wife's idea to include the infidelity clause, showed both of us had independent legal counsel review it before signing, showed there was no evidence of duress. In fact, my wife had negotiated several other clauses in her favor that were included. Then came the evidence of the affair. Hotel receipts showing 14 separate overnight stays. Credit card statements showing romantic dinners and gifts. Text messages recovered from phone records. Photos from the PI showing her and the affair partner together. The texts were the worst part. Her planning the divorce timing, her saying I'd be too emotional to think straight. Her and the affair partner laughing about it. The judge read them. His expression didn't change, but you could feel the temperature in the room shift. My wife's lawyer tried to object, said the PI evidence was obtained illegally. My attorney showed the PI's license, the legal basis for the surveillance, the fact that all evidence was obtained in public spaces or through legally accessible records. Then my attorney called me to testify. I kept it simple, described how she'd handed me the papers, what she'd said about timing, how I'd discovered the affair, how the prenup existed specifically to prevent this situation. Her lawyer cross-examined, tried to make me seem vindictive. You hired a private investigator to follow your wife? I hired a professional to confirm suspicions after months of lies. You're trying to financially ruin her over a mistake? I'm enforcing a contract we both signed to protect us both from exactly this situation. You ambushed her at your father's funeral? That one I paused on, looked right at the judge. She ambushed me at my father's funeral with divorce papers. I simply had documentation ready. The judge called a recess. 30 minutes. Came back and delivered his ruling. The prenup is valid. The infidelity clause is enforceable. The evidence of adultery is overwhelming and credible. The $200,000 penalty stands. Additionally, because her testimony and her mother's testimony contained provable falsehoods, he was sanctioning them for wasting the court's time. Her legal fees are her own responsibility. The house remains mine as separate property. Division of other marital assets will proceed, but the penalty gets deducted first. My wife started crying. Her lawyer looked stunned. Her mother started to say something, but the judge shut it down. Ma'am, you committed perjury in my courtroom. Be grateful I'm not referring this to the DA. Outside the courthouse, my wife tried to approach me. My attorney stepped between us. No contact, all communication through counsel. She looked at me over his shoulder. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything. You destroyed it. I just made sure you didn't profit from it. Her affair partner was waiting by her car. They left together. My mom was there. She hugged me hard. Your dad would be proud of you. Maybe. I don't know. I think he'd mostly just be sad about all of it. But he'd definitely approve of me not rolling over. The final divorce decree will take a few more weeks to process. But the big fight's over. She lost. Financially, I'm keeping the house and my separate investments. She's getting her share of truly marital assets minus the $200,000. After legal fees on her end, she's probably netting around $30,000 total. The affair partner? Apparently, he's been pulling away according to mutual friends. Turns out he was interested in my wife when she was married and stable. Now that she's divorced and broke, he's suddenly needing space. Poetic. My wife's mother left me a voicemail calling me heartless. Her brother sent threatening texts that I forwarded to my attorney. Her father apparently disowned her after learning the full extent of the lies. So she lost her marriage, most of her money, her affair partner, and half her family. All because she thought serving me at my dad's funeral was perfect timing. I'm not celebrating. My dad's still gone. My marriage still failed. I still lost 6 years to someone who was planning to betray me, but at least I'm not also broke and homeless like she intended. Found another letter from my dad yesterday. This one was in his workshop, tucked into his favorite saw case. Never let anyone mistake your kindness for weakness. And never let cruelty go unanswered. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is stand up for yourself, even when it hurts. Miss you, Dad. But I heard you. For everyone asking, yes, the prenup was really that ironclad. Yes, the evidence was really that extensive. Yes, she really thought she'd get away with it. Some people gamble that basic human decency will prevent consequences. They count on you being too kind, too tired, too sad to fight back. My wife counted on my grief making me weak. She was wrong. The affair partner's already moved on to someone else according to Instagram. My wife's apparently staying with friends and looking for a cheaper apartment. Me, I'm in therapy processing everything. Selling the house soon. Too many memories. Starting over. But starting over on my terms, with my assets and my dignity. She wanted a fresh start. She got one, just not the one she planned.